Well, everyone, that was certainly something. Uh, can't wait to break it down. All right, let's get this going. Well, episode one was a great start of this whole thing here. There we go. I see. And echo in the back. All right, there we go. All right. So, few things. First initial thoughts here. Better production than I expected initially. Much better production than I expected initially. It seemed as though all the money went into the first few scenes, and then immediately after that, everything went south. Uh, Everything that was in the trailer that had been there from the beginning was again there, and that was it. And all used up onto scenes of people talking and people not acting like normal people. So that's something. uh, let's see, and it's definitely not Tolkienian, not even close. It's kind of shocking that they would even consider putting the name of it on there, but we'll go through it. So, episode 1 starts with Galadriel. She is very young. It's the pre everything, pre the war, pre uh oh, we may have somebody join us actually. Or possibly not. Just a second. Uh Uh, Sleepy completely forgot. He thought this was our review for next week. That's funny. Uh, anyway, I should probably close Discord. We'll see you next week, though, Sleepy. So, let's see. As somebody who knows a bit about the Silmarillion and knows about uh, the lore of Middle Earth, I can't imagine being somebody who doesn't know anything watching the intro. I see they kind of touched at some of the details, like there were spider webs on the great tree and that sort of thing. Uh, but they skipped over so much history. They barely touched on the Silmaril themselves because they don't have the rights to it, and they don't. They never will because people want to make money, and apparently Amazon won't make money. It's shocking. The production quality is great until you realize that they spent more per episode on some of these than some of the original films. So it's a little problematic. So anyway, we skip past that. Um, there's a scene where Galadriel is talking to her brother, and he whispers in her ear something that the audience doesn't get to see, which is only done for the sake of the audience, not for anybody else. You hear the rest of the conversation. It's a stupid thing, and when it comes back at the end, I kind of smack my face, but that's all right. Don't worry, we'll get to that eventually. So now, Sauron killed her brother, as you know, leaving his mark on her. Spoilers alert! Spoiler on that. The mark is just it's Mordor on the map, is what it is. I don't know why it took them that long to figure it out. You'd think they know a little bit better, but that's all right. We eventually run into Galadriel up in the mountains with some other elves, looking very angry as her face is seemingly stuck that way through the entirety of the of the show, except for one scene which later on looks amazing. I think I used it in the thumbnail actually. I can't believe that, but anyway, we'll continue on through this. A little scattered because there's a lot of layers you could go to this. You can go at it as a fan of Tolkien, in which case you'll despise this show. You can go at it as a fan of generic fantasy, In which case you'd be okay with it until most people open their mouths. There's a few lines of dialogue that are fine, but as a general rule, people talk like children and they argue with each other like children, and it's a little disheartening. Um, and the actors, few are relatively good. I think when Galadriel isn't talking, she has a certain look to her that works relatively well for it. Um, but when she does anything other than stand there, it just doesn't work. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the maps, the knowledge of maps is actually very important. It comes up more often than you'd expect, uh, especially considering the sheer feats of strength that happen in this. Um, regarding that, so let's continue on scene by scene here. I got some notes. Let's see. So Galadriel is kind of vengeance bent because her brother got killed in the war against Morgoth, and she's hunting for Sauron, who she believes to be around, and everybody else doesn't believe her because it's that kind of character. And Hollywood people, the writers especially, and the producers are men who've had nothing but negative interactions with women, and apparently seem to think that all women act like angry, horrible men. Like it, it's a little crazy. And then, of course, the production side of things, when we approach that, they despise the fans and they don't understand anything about this. Uh, it's it's mind-boggling. I can't get past the fact that they spent so much money on this and they paid people to write that. And the actors seem like they might have been third picks, to be honest. I know at least one or two were replacements, but it's unfortunate. And it sucks because in some other context, some of this storyline could be fun. But anyway, Galadriel, they fight a troll. Her people are she's like the head of an army, which is a downgrade for her in lore if you think about it, because she is supposed to rule her own lands. Now that's of course continuing on. Hollywood missing the point of almost anything. Let's see. They kill that. They find that mark. It's on. It's the same mark that was on her brother, and it's on a table. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Vengeance. That's never been done before. uh, but so further on, keep going on, and all of her friends decide to abandon her because she's vengeance crazed and hateful and very non-elfish, to be honest. Let's see. And then we get past that scene and we switch perspectives over to gender swapped Frodo and gender swapped Sam, who are like weird proto hobbits because they can't actually. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Sleepy. We use we further along and we see the proto hobbits who are very uh they're the lead actress for this group is at least relatively charming, even if her character is a little poorly written. I think um Nori is her name. You understand where she's coming from, especially when you look at the culture surrounding her with her weird. This comes up especially in episode 3. So I'm really there's not a lot happening in this show. That's the reason it's going so quickly. Um, let's see here. Let's go down further ahead. Yep. So, what am I going to talk about next? Galadriel. Okay, Sleepy, you're gonna hate this. I promise you. For her military deeds, and her group's military deeds on their way back, uh, King Gilgalad is going to send them all to Valinor on the sea. Just you know, just get in the ship. Good job, you did your thing. Uh, keep going. She is not happy about this, obviously, because evil's afoot and all that. and then we skip ahead again. It really is not a lot happening in this. It's weird how much of this just seems like set up for something that I know won't pay off. Uh, let's see. Turning back towards the knife, which happens to be the floor. And then we also get another introductory storyline over in the Southlands. It's a forbidden romance between a human and an elf. It's pretty clear that what they're doing here is not uh, trying to create a good story. It's trying to create certain sub parts of the show to market towards people. Very, the romance is endearing enough if it weren't for the fact the context of the rest of it. He's a guard. He's looking around. Basically, the Southlands are under occupation by the elves after the war, because the people there sided with Morgoth, of course, and so everybody hates the elves. Yada yada. Go on down here a little bit more. What else? And then the elves are like, things are fine. Got to get out of here. We're all leaving, and so he comes back and he's like, we're leaving. Really sad. I'm gonna miss you. I don't want to leave. Yeah, exactly. Plato was right to banish the poets. Uh, and they keep going on. I'm struggling. I just watched this, and I'm really struggling to remember what happened. Uh, it Because nothing happens. It's people talking, and it's not good people talking, like something like House of the Dragon. It's people talking in a way that's childish. Let's see. Okay. And then, okay, Bronwyn, the romance in the Southlands, the lead characters are Bronwyn and Rondir, and they decide to travel to the east because it seems like there's some sort of infection happening, or one of the cows has black ooze coming out of its udder. It's, it's whatever. It's one of those. It's a moving plot. Oh, and this is this is a great thing. Okay, so Galadriel and everybody else is on the ship, and Valinor is like opening like a weird like sky doorway in the ocean. It's like it's glowing. It looks great, and then she decides she's done. She's not going to go. She jumps off it and swims back. Maybe not all the way back, but no matter what, no matter how far it is, that's like what 200 to 400 miles. Yes, yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones, the sequel. There's an asteroid. Oh yes, yes. Okay, so that's there. She's out in the ocean alone. And it's kind of mind-boggling to think about. It's at least far enough out to be past the Numenorian Isles, which I think is about 200, but I can't quite say. I can't remember that much. There's an asteroid in the sky. After this, everybody sees it. Yes, their test audience. Yeah, exactly. Their test audience wasn't middle-aged academics in an English pub. It was whoever would say the nice things. And also, think about the fact that Amazon Web Services hosts majority of content on the internet, especially these big review sites. So it's likely that a lot of those people are nervous about saying anything just in case. The asteroid, and it turns out the asteroid is an old man. One of the wizards. Uh, Worst choice would probably be Gandalf. Likely choice is more one of the blue wizards, I have to imagine. And that's it. That's the first episode all done. Oh yeah, I guess Elrond, their audience was themselves. Yeah, it's a pat in the back. Elrond was there and he was talking to Gilgalad. I forgot about this scene, and he was saying, the real reason we need to send Galadriel away is that her seeking out Sauron would cause him to come back. And I'm like, well, I guess the implication of what you're saying there is that Sauron is just waiting to be found rather than waiting and planning. Either way, elves don't act like elves in this. Let's see. And that's the end of the first episode. I'm making good pace because there's really not a lot to talk about in this one. It's set up and set up. And for what I've heard, the whole show is basically set up, but we'll see. I'm only 3 episodes in, right? I've tried to remain pure as pure as I can. All right, let's see. I forgot. So this episode started with them in the middle of the sea, Galadriel swimming, and swimming, and then it cuts to Nori and her friend Poppy, the other Hobbit, or not Hobbit because they can't. They don't. Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. uh, they're around they're the ones who find the stranger, who's the wizard, of course. They just call him the stranger because it's a ton of mystery boxes, as they say. It's written like it's one of those Star Trek movies from the 2000s, 2010s, because I think, if I remember correctly, some of the people involved in this were Bad Robot alumni, which is not a good sign. Lost was the only thing that ever did that mystery box thing right in media, and that's carried that company way too far. But anyway, Poppy decides she has to try to take care of this wizard, and he can't speak. He's kind of it's like running into a homeless guy. Really, it's supposed to be an endearing thing, I think, and also kind of creepy. Endearing for the hobbits and creepy for the guy, but it's still strange all the same. It doesn't really feel right. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So now we're on another scene. Bronwyn and Arondir, I think is how you pronounce her name. They they found a town that was burned down, uh, and sunk into the ground. It turns out there's tunnels underneath it. You can kind of guess where that's going, but so she leaves to warn everybody, and then he goes down in the tunnels because he's the guard. He's the guy who's supposed to be looking for this. It's what he's supposed to do, and then he goes, and then we jump again, and each scene is probably like 5-10 minutes, something like that. It's just a little frustrating that nothing happens, and the talking still sucks. There was one line in episode 3 I wish I could remember that was actually good, but that's not here yet. Um, let's see. Let's see. Elrond and Celebrimbor are working together to build a tower to forge something. Let's see. They go try to talk to the dwarves in Khazad Dûm with Durin because Elrond is friends with Durin. Uh, you know, and they're immediately blocked because that's how dwarves are. And at least some of the dwarves do feel relatively in character for dwarves, like, but it's hard to mess them up. I think just stubborn and xenophobic. That's what you need to do to make a dwarf. um. Oh yeah, Elrond and what's it called? What's it called? The Rite of uh Sigyn Tarog. I think they made that up for the show, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say it maybe was something from something else. Um, he says, it's kind of like a rite of combat, except it's all about breaking boulders. That's what it is. Uh, Whoever is the last one able to break a boulder is the winner. Whoever fails first fails and is banished. It's just rite of endurance is all it is. It's a okay scene. Then Elrond fails completely, and they're about to kick him out, and then turns out Durin is just upset because the elf missed his wedding and his kids. 20 years, For elves, it's fine, right? It was just petty and impersonal drama, which for elves is stupid. Yeah, exactly. Dwarves, at least, are dwarves. Let's see. Uh, it's also funny because this episode, for so much of it, just ignores Galadriel, probably because she's just swimming the whole time. Uh, See, elves can still drown. I think I know the showrunners remember that later, but I don't know if they remember it right now. um, then we meet. Let's see. Yes, continuing on, there's a little bit of a conversation, and as Durin is about to kick Elrond out, they're like, "Ah, you know what? I'm sorry, my friend. Yada yada. Let's go. I'm gonna talk to you. At least have dinner with your wife." I feel bad for the actress for her. It was casting to cause controversy pretty clearly because they know they didn't have anything else to back it up. She seems like a perfectly decent person. They also gave her really creepy contact for her eyes, which is probably some kind of lore thing. But it looks like Emperor Palpatine to me a little bit. And it's not so great. Um, let's see. She at least acts like a dwarf too, you know? The dwarves are dwarves. You can't really mess with dwarves, I think. Let's see. Galadriel is still swimming, of course. What else? My notes. And there's Galadriel finally shows up near this makeshift raft, and it turns out there's uh, a bunch of people who I guess are Numenorians. We learn afterwards, well, except for one of them. Actually, no, they're not Numenorians. I think they're from the Southlands. Yes. Um. So. Yes. No, I don't think the writers understand human interaction, um, which is a lot coming from me, you know. But yeah, it's a little problematic to use that language. uh, this makeshift raft. They're like, oh, it's an elf. You know, we hate elves. Get off our raft, lady. Except for one who, uh, his name is Halbrand. I'm pretty sure in the show, Sleepy, you're not gonna like this whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be Sauron in disguise, or just Sauron trying to live a better life, or something along those lines. Um, yeah, yeah, it's uh, it's very frustrating. Let's see, uh, but eventually there's some sort of like worm in the water, and it breaks the raft. But ironically, doesn't break the one that Halbrand's on. Who would have thought? And eventually, she and him are sailing on the raft, and they keep arguing. They're both being petty and stupid. It's very childish, all of it. Uh, she she's definitely the kind of person who doesn't understand that sometimes a bit of tact is uh is needed. It's fine if that's her character trait, but they're adapting a pre-existing character who did not have this problem. So it's strange to introduce it. Even if you want to argue that it's a younger version of the character, with the way elves age in lore, she's not a child. She's an adult. They show her as a child actually early on. It's yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's not that. It's here. I should have put up this image, but I'm sure I can find it quick. Uh, let's see, Rings of Power. Just want you to see how Bran looks like. Um, or not Sauron or whatever you want to call him. Here, there's that. So, you know, it's something. Kind of tell what he's being cast for. What's even stranger, uh, is at this point in the timeline, Galadriel has a wife, and they haven't mentioned a husband. I mean, excuse me. Galadriel has a husband, and although in the show it could be a wife, I suppose, but he doesn't come up, and he hasn't come up, and they seem to be pushing a weird pseudo romantic angle with Galadriel and Halbrand. They're both just so misunderstood. That's how it goes. It's it's not the thing I would have done. exactly. I have no idea, and the thing is they can't even get to that. It is pretty clear, something I haven't really mentioned, all that much, is that they're taking smaller moments from, the Peter Jackson films and the way they're portrayed, and just kinda putting them in there and acting like, nobody is gonna notice. Which is, I mean, it could be okay if it weren't for the fact that they they've paid for people to kind of bash those movies and also to bash the book itself as being, out of touch or backwards. So, uh, if I would argue that, why would you bother at that point if that's actually true? And they know it's not true. It's obviously just marketing. It's a deflection. Like, "Ah, you hate this show because it has a woman in it." No, because there's plenty of shows where women are quite quality, has been lined out. It's just bad writers who actually hate women themselves trying to find a way to pan off, their own failures onto other people. It's, more than a little embarrassing. I'll say that much. I think if my insecurities were projected in my writing onto the big screen, I'd probably be embarrassed, but they might not even know that's what happened. Oh yeah, 2 years until the next season comes out. It's barely in production. I bet they're hoping people forget this one, but I suppose we'll see. Yep, yep, calling it talk. They keep doing this thing too. I was watching a couple. I had to stop doing it earlier, but I was watching a couple interviews with the directors and and writers, and they were saying things like, "Oh, Tolkien never specifically mentioned this, so that means that it's okay to do." They're like, "Oh, he never specifically said that." I'm trying to think of a good example. I seriously may be so mad that that's what they're doing that I couldn't think while I saw those. Uh, but it was like, "Oh, he didn't specifically say this fight didn't happen here. He didn't specifically say this character didn't do this at this period of time." Which is such a obviously coping way of thinking. It's so weird to see people who are paid thousands to possibly millions over time on something like this say to think like that. Like, oh well, oh well. It's not my money that's being lost. All right. Back to this. So basically, Elrond and Durin end up getting along. It's fine. Uh, they're trying to get to the Southlands. Uh, Bronwyn the elf back in the Southlands. Oh wait, no, Bronwyn. She's the woman. Excuse me. Bronwyn is the woman. She a masked orc comes out through the bottom of her house's floor, and her son and her attack it. Um, and they kill it. Thankfully for them. Uh, and then she brings the head to town because nobody believed her earlier. She brings the head to town, and tells everybody, "Hey, look, we got to get out of here. Tunnels are here. Orcs are coming. They're going to try to kill us." And the elves are gone, so we're out of luck there. The son, whose name is Theo, has a strange sword hilt that's broken that they're clearly trying to use as an analog for the ring, but they don't have rings yet because they haven't been made, at least not in the same way. So it when blood touches it, it grows a bit, and he just brings it with him. And it's obvious that that's what the orcs are looking for. I don't know what the significance of it is. I don't know what the name is. It's an evil sword. You know how it is. Um, let's see. Hmm, anything else happen this episode? Oh yeah, Galadriel's eventually Galadriel and Halbrand are saved at the end by somebody who, moving on to episode 3, turns out to be one of the Numenorians. Oh, and before I forget, uh, a reindeer has been captured by orcs in the tunnels and sent to like this slave pit where they're supposed to dig and make more tunnels. Uh, a little open, to be honest. These tunnels, so it's kind of strange. You'd think they want to be more below ground, but maybe there's some other purpose. I don't know. Uh, let's see. The elves are there since these are wood elves. They're against the chopping down of a tree that's in the way, but one of them, and eventually one of them gets their neck cut, and then Arondir steps up to cut down the tree himself. He was a grower, is what they say. So this is, but he's doing this to get an angle up above the ground so he can see where the tree line is. Um, let's see. Further on, okay, more stuff that doesn't really matter. More introduction. I could see it now. The kind of comments, because I avoided looking at most of the comments for this sort of thing, but I could see it now that there's probably people who are pro this show. They're like, every show is set up. It's fine. It doesn't. It could use a whole season for setup. It's okay. But then at the exact same time, we just had House of the Dragon that came out, and the amount of stuff that got packed in that first season, and the pacing, and the character writing, and the implications of even just a single sentence from way people looked at each other. This show has nothing like that. So even on, as Jeff Bezos said that this was supposed to be his Game of Thrones, and he's absolutely failed at that. Let's see, moving on along. They wake up on the ship of what was his name? Doesn't matter. They wake up on a ship, and now we're Numenor. Hey, yep. Setup implies there will be payoff. You know, I'm pretty sure there's payoff of some kind. I can't wait to see how terrible it is. Okay, let's see. Elendil. So, okay, yeah, the captain's name is Elendil, which means one who loves the stars, but apparently can colloquial mean elf friends. The queen is not happy about him bringing an elf in because the Numenorians kind of closed off borders to the elves, as you do. Drama, yada yada. What else? There's trouble in town. Galadriel considers stealing a boat. I forgot. But Elendil is like, yes. I need to find the scene now. Uh, but then Elendil is like, hey, you know what? We can actually go to this library we have, this building of lore. Let's take horses there. She's like, do you say ride? And I need to find this clip now. I just watched it in preparation for this because it made me laugh so much last night. Um, where is it? Come on, sorry. This is new to live streaming, as you say. Uh, Playlists. Let's see. Okay, Galadriel horse. I I seriously couldn't believe this sequence. It's basically what I imagine happened. Yes, exactly. I hope you like slow motion. Yep. Uh, what I imagine happened here is there was a greasy executive who went, I know what the dames like. Days like horses. And so I present to you exactly like butter over too much bread. Exactly. It's a power here. This tab. I won't share it too long, but this was extremely funny to me. You know what makes women happy? Horses. Just wait for it. I'm gonna pause it for a second to make sure that copyright doesn't come in. It's okay, bots. This is transformative. I'm mocking it. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Slow motion. Isn't that really cool? It's really great, isn't it? Uh, they probably thought this was the best. Oh, wait. Did I? No. No, here it is. Here we go. Yep. That's what I wanted to show. I, I'm so sorry for the actress. That was the least flattering angle. It's so mean. It's so mean that they did that. And the thing is, they slowed it. They acted as though this was like the big scene. This was the scene that not slow enough. Well, somebody here is slow anyway. It might be the writer. Anyway, she that's that scene. Uh, not great. Would not recommend doing that with my characters. Would not recommend doing that with anyone's characters. Uh, I I I wonder what Tolkien would think about that adaptation. Now you listen here, Toots. You're gonna like this show. It's got horses in it. It's got slow motion. It's got horses. you know, you know. I can't. I need to look up. I assume the fact that that's clipped out means that somebody thought it was as funny as I did. But I have to think that that was maybe a little bit bigger online. But you know me, I don't have social media. I don't keep up on any of this stuff. So maybe I missed out on a gold mine. Let's see. Uh oh yeah, there's great lines from Galadriel as well. I forgot to mention from that scene earlier. Who is this mortal who speaks to me as if I have the slightest idea who I am? Eh, you know, she hates everybody. She resents the loss of her brother, which is of course, sad and everything, but uh you could I mean if humans can get over it in a lifetime, you, you'd think you'd think an elf would. Exactly. They're like, we need to modernize. They've actually said as much that Tolkien is outdated. Uh and it needs to be more inclusive, which is ridiculous, of course. I think there's a great video some people would have fun watching. Is there's a Japanese woman who reacts to the Lord of the Rings films and the scenes therein, and she connects with the story just as much as an Englishman would. It's pretentious, uh, corporate nonsense that says that. It's horrible, and they're just trying to stoke division. It's so frustrating to see stories escapism. As Sleepy said, Tolkien was an escapist. The whole point of this was to escape from the drama and trouble of real life. But now what they're doing is bringing it down to a horrible ground level. Um, it Exactly, and then and the even more frustrating part about this is that this is supposed to be like a prehistory of Earth, right? And this is like a prehistory. So trying to apply modern uh, political ideals to it just doesn't work. Um, it wouldn't work if it was the other way around. It's just not, because the people who are in production lean a certain way because they live in a certain area, and that's just how it is. Um, it's sad because there's a lot that could be done with this. I do want to know Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos. Yeah, I'm sure he was never aware that his stories were outdated. I actually personally would think that somebody like Bezos would be relatively frustrated with this. Not I know his son actually told him to not screw this up, and it's pretty clear that it has been screwed up. I've heard they're actually considering relaunching this first season again and trying to act like the launch earlier did not happen, which would be great. That'd be absolutely amazing. Oops, it's almost like his work being outdated was the whole point. Like as Sleepy said, uh, like, oh man, I work that draws on myth and tries to create a cultural legend for the English to have because they didn't really have that. This country I love, I want to give them a work of art that can stand t- the test of time and stand as a testament to the kind of people that they are, and reflect the values of the culture. It's outdated. It's fine. It's contemptuous. I've I've me stuttering here and there is because I as much as I'm not really showing it, it makes me very angry. um, that people would it's cultural graffiti is what it is. It's like somebody spraying over a mural with their initials, saying, I updated it. See, they didn't use this shape of the letter C before, and now it's better. It's frustrating. Okay. Anyway, I guess on we go. Um, Galadriel finally realizes that I don't. She finally realizes that the mark, yeah, mythology is so old fashioned. Exactly. Um, Galadriel finally realizes that that mark is the shape of the Southlands. Um, and which Mordor, obviously. She's like, I know where to go. Almost like the guy from the Southlands that I was talking to. Halbrand is right, and probably should have gone there, but whatever. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Halbrand gets in trouble because he's trying to fit in here, and he wants to be part of the Forgers Guild or whatever. Uh, and he ends up stealing a guild medallion or something from a guy and then kills three guys because they chase after him to get it, ends up in jail, and then that's what makes Galadriel finally have respect for him. Apparently, she's talking to prison like, you're I know that symbol you have on your neck there. That's the sign of a king. Like, oh yeah, and he's like, oh, it's a king who signed his allegiance to Morgoth. I'm like, oh, subtle. uh, I have no idea what the implications of this are. Even like, because the obvious one is, oh, the king of the people who led the Southlands. But then what they're implying. It's pretty clear. Um, but maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen the rest of the show. Let's see. Back. Okay, Arondir and his a couple other elves try to form an escape. Unfortunately, even with Arondir defying gravity in some moves, uh, they don't get to make it out, and one of them gets killed. And that's where the episode ends. So there you go. That's the first three episodes. I think it's pretty clear that I'm not very happy with it. I could barely bring myself to watch through the third episode, which is if I'm trying to be a reviewer, that's a bit of a problem. But I managed it, so that's fine. Um, do you guys have any comments or questions about this? Yeah. Oh, Sleepy. I think with that comment, you're touching on something. It's that the writers are the kind of guys who consider themselves to be good guys. You know what I mean? I think the writers are the kind of guys like, oh, I'm a good guy. Why do they always go after the bad guys? And it's like it's 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 as though a high schooler wrote it. It's because these people haven't shifted their mindset from that, uh, and they say they're super fans. And it's entirely possible. Maybe they are, but maybe this is just all shifted into corporate narrative. You never know. Uh, but it's it can't end well. I really don't see it ending well. Uh, but maybe it will. So That's pretty much all there is for this one. About 43 minutes talking about 3 episodes that were an hour long each. Well worth your time. Definitely go and watch them. Uh, or I don't know, stab yourself in the hand with a sewing needle or something. I think it might be at least you feel something with the second option there. Hmm. Let's see. Anything else? Oh yeah, okay. Well, if that's about it, then I'll just say next week, Sleepy and I are going to be discussing the movie Sorcerer, a movie that we both actually really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed it. I was happy to share it with him. So that'll be great. Same time next Sunday. And with any luck, I'll be aiming to have a edited video posted up. Oh yes, let's see. What's this? Yeah, I would say that if it didn't have the uh, Tolkien brand associated with it, it would be acceptable as a okay TV show, especially since people basically get it for free with their Prime membership. Um, I think that would be all right. But the thing is, it's not, and the staff on it has actively been hateful towards the audience, and the ratings have not been great for it, which is amazing because it's like it was pushed incredibly hard on Prime, and there's so many people who have it. Um, I kind of consider it a moral failing of mine that I watched this on Amazon. I feel like I'm sending them the wrong message. That's okay. I still canceled my Prime membership with the reason being that you're putting out this, and what you've done is unacceptable. Maybe though, maybe by the end of this season. Yeah, I think people could have liked it in the way of like The Witcher, but but I know the fans of the Witcher TV show were not the fans of the games or the books, and I think the fans of this TV show will probably be the same, if there are any. From what I can tell, it kind of seems like most of the positive reviews online are from outlets that are generally seen as shill media, like the media that would be paid to leave a good review, um, or and also just weirdos, just strange people who like to daydream about coupling people, fictional characters. I guess it's preferable. It's fictional characters, but just which is fine on its own. I think the problem I have with it is that it's public, and that's like all the discourse I've seen. Because I kind of browsed through it after watching the first 3 episodes just to kind of see what was out there. There's not a lot of great stuff there. Okay, well, less than an hour, but I suppose there's not much else to say about it. Whoa. Okay. Well, I'll have to fix that later. That's a sign I got. Need to tape it down. Yeah, that's fair. I think not minding it is the most it'll ever get. I think, yeah, I would argue that. Actually, no, I got a great example of this. One of my roommates, he was watching it the first night it came out, and he was talking to me in the kitchen. We bumped into each other, and he was like, "Oh man, this show is it's like it's just okay." But he said it like super excited, and it was great. Nothing broke, thankfully. Thankfully, I just didn't tape something down I should have, and nobody got hurt. But yeah, all right. So with any luck, I'll have an edited episode reviewing a film out this week. Shorter, probably around 5 to 10 minutes. That's my goal. Super easy enough for me to write. Um, yeah, and Sleepy and I actually are probably going to go soon after this, play some Dark Souls 3 on his Twitch account. So that'll be fun. I may as well have never played it because I barely remember anything about it. So it's kind of like a new experience for me. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming around. It feels weird to end the stream before an hour in, but it's been great talking. Good practice looking at the camera, doing a little public speaking. Thanks for being in the chat, guys. Uh, and I guess stay copacetic. I'm gonna say that so many times it becomes my thing. All right. Bye.